Thank you. All right, well, thank you again. Welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to wrap up. This is a challenging slot given the end of the day, so I look to engage you and I hope for a discussion. It's an incredible series of panels today, and you've had a chance to meet many of the colleagues with whom I work. And as you can only imagine, I've heard the role systems, the term systems thinker used a lot, and that's really my role at MIT, is to connect all of the people together towards solution development. That's what I'll share with you today. But to switch gears from the incredible research that you've heard to the role of the campus, I want to just take a moment. I'm going to take advantage of this amazing technology we have with Pigeonhole. And I just want to begin by just take a moment and consider a behavior you modeled today that was visible to others. You don't have to say it out loud, just think about what was visible to others. This may be at work, it may be on the home front, it may be while commuting. My son loves to tell me the behavior that's visible to him, and then I say not to do, and he says, well, you're on your phone. So, we all have behavior, so take a moment and think about that. Hold that in your head. Now what I want you to do is take this poll to start and just say, what behavior have you modeled today that mitigates a climate risk? I can just get a sense of what's in here. It may be something you've done, a remodel at home. Maybe it's a commute that you said, oh, I was going to drive, but I'm going to take public transportation, a food choice. Get the idea. So give me a sense of something that you made a conscious, if at all, something that mitigates climate risk. And it doesn't have to be today at this point, because I think you've been inside all day. So it can be within the week, within the past month. Anything? And and you go to Pigeonhole under Office of Sustainability. There we go. So transit choices, cycling, offsets, walking, taking the bus, recycling, EV, yep, refillable, choosing food diets, excellent, yeah. So you get the idea. These are the fasting, more walking. So keep this going and you start to see the individual role that people choose. My role, and I think many of you in the audience as chief sustainability officers, is to shape the organization to enable you to make those choices, right? I mean, my role is we have 22,000 people at MIT. There's no way I can chase all 22,000 people, and it's not a great use of time, it's not, or impact, but we can put all of the incentives and structures in place to enable people and educate people, provide data and facts and systems to support those choices that are being made. All right. Great. So I just want to start by then saying, for me, it was 25 years ago. I was a graduate in graduate school, not at MIT, but here in Boston. And one of my faculty members encouraged me to pick a burning question that I was going to really thrive and drive in the way I was thinking, in what I wanted to pursue in my education and what I wanted to pursue in my career. And I put a lot of deep thought into that. And what came out at the time is I was studying at the time. It will date myself, but some of you will relate. Some of you maybe were just born in this period of time. But I was attempting to study sustainable development. This was a time when there was a post-Rio environment. We were paying attention to the projected models, like the ones that Noel shared with you today. We were looking at projecting climate change. We were being schooled by the Brundtland Report. There was a commitment at the UN called a Global Change Agenda. I'm just trying to set the time for that. Hopefully it's starting to sound familiar with where we're at today. And the burning question that I came up with at the time was, well, how will the organization of the future mitigate and be resilient in a changing climate and internalize the principles of sustainable development, maybe through operations, governance, research, and my focus became higher education. Well, this question still remains my burning question. I've pursued my education and my career has been built around this. And I mention this when I was preparing for today because we're living at a time where That was 25 years ago. And I mean, I was on a call today about we have to decarbonize our industries and our higher education institutions in 25 years. And so at the time coming out, I was a pioneer in the field, and I was able to work at actually the first office of sustainability in the country at University of New Hampshire, or formal one. And at the time, the industry grew around us that enabled us to integrate sustainability into our fields. Probably many of you were involved with that, for all I know, many of the industries that are here. So it was from transformational in buildings, from the green building to LEED, but to incremental around recycled paper, to water bottle filling stations, to the immersion of blue bikes, and so on. I'm sure you can think of many. And it's just a reminder that the decisions we're making today have lasting impacts across time and space. But the time that we're in now, as we look 25 years out, is to seek this zero-emission future in an effort to limit a long-term increase in average global temperatures to 1.5 degrees. And you've now heard this a couple times through the grand challenges, through Noel, through the Voight Lab just now as well. So the game is on. 25 years ago, we thought we were heading into a place where we could avoid where we're at today, and we didn't do it. We're doing better. We've created a new foundation, but we haven't done it yet. And so, again, this is our opportunity together, I would argue. We have more recently moved into large scale, and I've heard this as well. MIT's been involved in large scale power purchase agreements. One's on the way. We're looking at large scale solar, large scale wind. We're looking at geothermal. So that has evolved tremendously over the past 25 years. Now the question is, how do we scale that up and ensure that we have our energy, steam, chilled water, whatever it is we need to run our institutions 24/7. So today, these are the headlines. Here we are 25 years ago, and we're living in these headlines. And I want to just make one more point about the 25 years when I saw who was in the audience, and just with my own experience working in higher education, doing consulting with other universities. In 1997, there were no chief sustainability officers. There was one, there was two, there were a couple, let's say that. Even in 2000, there weren't very many. And today, I think in terms of the transformation, is that many of you who are in the audience who have this role now today, that is a huge part of the transformation. It's the skill sets, it's the recognizing that they're a role, and there's a value proposition for chief sustainability officers across our industries and across higher education. So I just want to make that point. But these are the headlines today. This is driving the grand challenges. This is driving a lot of the research that you've heard. So I'm going to lay out how MIT is responding to this and how we're thinking about our visible behavior. How are we responding to this urgent need? How are we going to accelerate our work? How do we connect the dots of the research that you heard today to the action we take on campus? So the questions we're asking is, what are we solving for? And really being keen on that part of it. I think Noel or some others mentioned that making sure we're not playing whack-a-mole. We're not trying to solve for one thing and then we create a whole new problem down the line. We're thinking a lot about what are we teaching our students, the future leaders of tomorrow, the future citizens, voters, supply chain developers. And the part that I'm responsible for also is, what are we modeling at MIT? What are you modeling? What are we modeling here today? And so the model that we've set up to provide this platform is, with my office, is really leveraging the campus as a test bed. And so all the work that we do across the structure that I run is we have research and operational partnership engagements. And on the research side, for all the issues that we tackle, and I'll walk you through these, the researchers and tenure track faculty, they need research and publications. That might be a place of partnership with all of you. They need to revise and update models they've developed, like you've heard about with Noel today. And of course, I think what we all have in common is we're looking for those innovative solutions. But equally, we have to maintain a campus. What are the operational needs and how do we come together? So we need standards and guidelines. We need improved and accessible data systems. And we also need innovative solutions. So all of the work that we do on sustainability at the campus level every single thing has a partner on the operational administrative side and the research faculty side with students who are moving in between. So the piece that we've moved into more recently in an effort to accelerate our work is to also shift to true implementation. So phase one was to line all this up, set the goals, and I'll share this with you. Leverage the campus as a test bed for research and innovation, but also make sure that we're implementing and putting in place what we say we're going to do. And one of the most unique aspects, and I've heard this actually on the panel with Jason Jay, with one of the panelists, is we built our whole platform on this notion of scales of impact. And just a quick story behind this is that when I first got to MIT, I spent time, I interviewed over 100 people to just get to know what was MIT about. I've only been in higher education, so that was very familiar to me. But what was MIT, how did people work? What was the research we were doing? What did we care about? What were our values? And what came out of that was there was a true commitment to education and the students, a huge commitment, of course, to the research, but MIT citizens, if you will, all thought of themselves as global citizens. They were here to contribute to the state of the world. It was amazing. I mean, it gave me chills every time I met with folks. And a true sense of place in Cambridge. People loved Cambridge, Massachusetts. And the piece that I found where there was an opportunity was the state of the campus and the role of the campus in connecting these dots. So what came out of the listening tour was let's launch a platform of sustainability on thinking about all sustainability issues across scales of impact. And so as we're looking at decarbonizing the campus, I have a PhD student studying what's coming out of the IRA right now that we've just heard about. She's reading all 2,000 pages. Only an MIT student will find the time to do that. And determining what is going to lie ahead for us at the policy level, at the funding level. We're working with the state. We're working with the city of Cambridge. And then we're finding, as I asked you, what are the opportunities for individuals to contribute? Anyway, this cuts across back and forth with all the issues that they're working at. So the next piece is to share with you, we're thinking about the campus as a test bed for organizational transformation. I think of the campus as my lab. I don't have a lab with pipettes or membranes, but the campus is my lab. It's the role of the people in the campus, the organizational structures. So the part I just want to share with you, in which the way we think about this, I think there's a tendency to think about test bed as research. But for me, and the role of my office, it's the role of the data. It's getting access to good data, and I'll share that with you in a moment. It's the research that you've heard about today and the opportunity to instigate, incentivize research, possibly through industry partnerships, seed funds. It's student fellows, it's citizen science, it's coursework and developing the course that JJ mentioned, I'll share with you in a moment. It's solution development, governance, and modeling. It's all of these pieces make up MIT's test bed, and it's what we are developing still. So I'm going to walk you through components of these, and at the end I'll open it up for some questions. So on data, we launched one of the first higher education data platforms, not using software. We actually partnered with our own IS&T and using an Amazon platform and attempted to build an all MIT access data platform. At the moment, we're up to about 18 dashboards. This is very challenging, to say the least, and I think this will fit into future ILP discussions, as I've talked about with some folks today. So all students and faculty and staff access all energy data on campus through this platform. Transportation data, climate resiliency data, I'll share with you in a moment, waste data, and so on. By doing this, the staff, operations, folks, the academics, students alike, can all work from the same platform to build new solutions and to keep track of trends. In the case of the Energize MIT and the course I'll share with you, we built a whole course just around the Energize MIT platform. And so for those of you in the industry, I don't know if you're connected to higher education, how many people get the call where a paper is due the week before and a student calls and says, I need to know how much energy this building is using, and I need it in 24 hours to get my paper done. Those are the calls we used to get. By making this data accessible, the data is now just accessible 24/7, and we don't have to field those calls anymore. So number one, data. Next part is research. This is an example, I'm calling it research via partnership, which is on climate modeling. We modeled, actually, it's now fit into the grand challenges that you heard about today from Richard Lester. We partnered with Carrie Emanuel's group, an amazing research scientist with whom we work out of the Joint Program on Science and Policy, collaborated with us actually over 5 years ago now, and we said, why don't we take your global model that you're applying around the world and apply it to Cambridge and the campus. Let's understand how we plan for a climate resilient campus to ensure that we can continue to keep the campus moving in the state of a changing climate. He said, great idea. We then partnered with the city of Cambridge to make sure because we don't have a moat around MIT, as you all know, and we're reliant, and the urban structure of Cambridge impacts us as well. So this is now available on our data pool. We're projecting out to 2070, and then soon out to 2100. We're using this to now inform our design standards, how we plan for the future campus, and so on. Research, so that's research via what I'm calling research via strategic partnerships. We also had research via seed funds, and you'll recognize some of the folks that you've met today, from Kripa to Jeremy. So these were seed funds. This was a donor that came through a handful of years ago, provided funding that lasted about almost 4 years. And it enabled us to just get a sense, can faculty apply their research to the local environment to both inform solutions? In the case of Kripa, he went and launched infinite cooling, as I think some of you have heard about over time. If you go past the CUP, our central utility plant, you'll see his experiment actually on top of the power plant. But anyway, from materials work in buildings to glove recycling to a carbon neutral cooling to even Jessica Transick looking at battery storage and realizing how challenging it is to integrate batteries. To a citizen science model, taking that climate resiliency model, starting to realize what is the implication of our basements. We have millions of dollars of research in our basements. How do we understand the impact of these flood models on the basements and what's in those? So Miho Masaru pulled together a group of students. They managed a citizen science project over 2 or 3 days. They collected over 1,000 data points. This will actually influence what took place in New York and help scale up. How do you make sure people stay safe who are in basement apartments? We started a student research program. We have 12 student researchers working with us throughout the academic year. There's more demand. That's all we can manage at the moment, but I think there's ways we hope to scale that up in time. And all of these students are working towards our fast forward commitments. They're all tied to MIT's goals. We're looking at design thinking. We started last year. We merged environmental health and safety with my office to partner on a new program we're calling Safe and Sustainable Labs. And it's analyzing all of the different labs across campus to think about beyond compliance. Where are the opportunities to rethink the way in which research takes place without compromising the manner in which we research? So from regulated materials to non-regulated materials, to new design standards and energy opportunities, to chemical inventory. So we're going to be actually launching a new pilot this year, working together with faculty, environmental health and safety, facilities, and researchers alike to pilot brand new models from maker spaces to chemistry labs to mechanical engineering. We're looking at solution development. This is just, again, I think you've heard a lot about solution development today with the grand challenges and with some of the researchers that you've heard. This is just an example where we were just testing the waters on large-scale power purchase agreements in the market to figure out what can we do today that's at scale while we are also trying to decarbonize our campus and then turn that into a research opportunity. So, I won't dwell on this one because we have so much. That's what really you're being exposed to tomorrow in the workshops. But this is what MIT is all about. Excellent opportunities for courses, and even I believe Jason does courses engaging many industries. This is a course my good colleague and I developed a couple of years ago as a way to build the momentum and establish the platform for us to commit to a zero-emission future. And so we have students from across the campus, predominantly coming out of of actually, last year was a whole bunch of the Sloan LGO students, but mechanical engineering and across the departments, to really invite the students in to solve for how to decarbonize the campus and use that as a platform for learning and launching into their careers. It exposes them to the complexity of the role of people and risk management and the challenge of figuring out how to make these decisions and finance them. We then take we have sorry, I just want to note one thing on this, which is quite unique, is we actually integrate our facilities and utilities partners into the course. And then at the end, the students present their platforms back to facilities. A handful of those solutions are chosen and a deep dive is taken further. So examples of that have been from microreactor analysis to geothermal district energy systems that the students have brought to us and said, we really need to explore this further. So it's just an awesome use of resources and an academic platform and training the next generation that hopefully come to you. The piece I stuck in here I thought would be interesting for this group is you need governance structures. This isn't the responsibility of myself alone, you know, or my colleagues in facilities or just my office. It's really creating a governance structure. You met Noelle just recently. She heads something called the Climate Nucleus. And MIT's Fast Forward plan is structured this time around with full accountability across all of the 5 areas of action. So the area I'm responsible for is on the far left, where it says reducing MIT's climate impact. But then faculty with whom you've met over the past, or today and you'll meet tomorrow, are strewn throughout this governance structure. This feeds up into the nucleus that Noelle and Ann White from nuclear engineering manage, and then that feeds up to the structure. So that's how we do it at MIT. I'm sure you've figured out your own distributed leadership and decision-making structures, but I would argue you can't have a successful commitment to mitigating climate risk and sustainability without making sure you have the right decision makers and players and communication structures in place. I think the last piece here is around modeling. And so what can we demonstrate to our students? Where do we take the leap? How do we leapfrog and where there's de-risk technology? How do we take this is an example of the renovation of the Met Warehouse, which is for the School of Architecture and Planning. It's going to be a remarkable project over the next two years, I believe, and that will be electrified. And it's taking old infrastructure combined with new infrastructure and a commitment to zero emissions. I mean, that is what we should be modeling for our staff, students, and faculty. It's challenging, and then mix that with the zoning regulations within the city of Cambridge. But what can we learn from that? What can we share from that? And how do we model similar decision points and opportunities across the whole campus? So I'd like to end with this, of saying, when you think about what you've learned today with all the panels, from your own work, from what I just shared with you, what can we do and demonstrate better together to mitigate the risk of a changing climate? I think you've heard from Jeremy, you know, again, many of us all work together, from Jason. We're all asking the same question. We're all saying, what are these opportunities to work differently? Where can we leapfrog together to decarbonize our industries, our campuses, obviously society at large, but where can we start in new ways of thinking together? What can I share with you? What can I learn from you? And this isn't just about what takes place in the labs. This is the whole system we're now able to offer, which is such a great place for MIT to be. So if you could go to the Pigeonhole and share we'll end with some of your ideas of what can we do and demonstrate better together to mitigate the risk of a changing climate. Let's see what you got. Excellent stories. I think we absolutely we need to learn how to communicate better and how to tell those stories. That would be a great workshop to do together. Deeper collaboration, thinking about scale. Yep, sharing climate models, being inclusive, shared experiences. Other thoughts? Thinking about the global impacts. Thinking about alignment, we think a lot about that. Seeking common goals. I will say while you're filling this out, Jeremy, Gregory, you heard from Jeff Grossman also, the MIT Climate Sustainability Consortium in my office, we're partnering. Jeremy and I are overseeing a postdoc right now as a pilot, if you will. And she's working with all the MCSC members, many of you may be one of those, together with myself on the campus side. And she's analyzing with guidance from Jeremy and I all of the net zero decarbonization plans to figure out what are those nuggets, what are we doing that's aligned, what are we doing that's different, where there's opportunity for exchange, and where might there be opportunities for partnership in thinking about a decarbonized world. But there's opportunities, my guess is we'll be able to identify more and more questions like that where we can bring in shared postdocs, shared research, and really leverage the campus as a test bed to inform that thinking. So I'm gonna end there, but thank you for these ideas. I'd like to take I don't have my phone on me. If somebody from the MIT side could take a picture of that for me and then send it to me, that would be great, and I can take a look at that. But thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Julie, for all those great ideas and great work and sharing what your office is doing to move the needle forward. A couple of great questions posted here. So it's really about what MIT is doing. But let's start with the second one from the left on the top row, because we started talking about organizational structure and things. But what are some of the challenges you're facing with engaging the MIT community in your many initiatives?
Well, there's a lot of us, right? There's 22,000 of us, and a lot of, with amazing ideas and their own focal points. I mean, when I got to MIT, they said it's a community of 1,000 flowers blooming. And so it is, right? It's amazing. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is just continuing to unify the campus towards this end, but not unifying where we have to all be doing the same thing. It's just seeking these common grounds to strengthen the work that we're doing together. But in all honesty, look who you got to meet today. It's an amazing community of people. And so it's really a matter of, I'll give you an example. We just presented on this today. We're seeking common ground on our net zero commitment. And so using surveys, there's not one opinion that is going to drive. People are very passionate about how to decarbonize the campus and how to get to a net zero goal early, and how to seek decarbonize by 2050. But we use committees and we find common ground. So, one would think that all these different perspectives would be a challenge, but actually I enjoy that challenge, and it's really getting to know what all these perspectives are, and then bringing them together through committees, through focus groups, through, like I said, through surveys, through different events, and that's how we've overcome so many of those challenges. So there are a plethora of challenges, but it's all manageable, and to be honest, it feeds us. Yeah.
And I think you captured it in something you said. You said your role is really creating the environment or the platform, I think you said, to enable these choices that people were making.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
And so look at the next question that has a couple of votes is really about the data you have and captured, and transparency and dashboards. Does it expose or create any negative adverse reaction?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of concern about collecting some of the data and sharing it, but we're a data-driven institute. This wasn't, we have to make data-driven decisions with respect to how do we solve for reducing single occupancy vehicles coming to campus? How do we understand the implications of water and stay on top of that, right? We're all watching what's happening with some water challenges around the world with energy. So by turning it into an opportunity for learning and evaluation and test bed to improve our systems, helped really reduce the risk with respect to what those concerns might be. And so, to be honest, it's been a very positive opportunity, because we're leveraging the transparency to invite people in to problem solve and to better inform their understanding of the state of the campus, if you will. So that's how we've gotten around that. Actually, I wish people would access the data more because there's so many challenges that we need to solve. The biggest challenge, and maybe this ties the challenge question actually to this question, is probably our biggest challenge is data, to be honest, because there's so much data that we have to track, and it's not all automated. So we're working closely with many partners across the campus to determine, our energy data is fantastic, but how do we make sure we're getting all of our energy, our transportation, our waste data from so many different points? So that's something we really do and seek to continue to solve for.
There's a couple people, the couple questions people wrote about electric vehicles. Does MIT subsidize them? Are there a lot of chargers on campus?
Yep.
Things like that.
Yeah, great question. So of course there's two, actually within Fast Forward, so the direct answer, this is a yes, no, we do not subsidize the purchase of electric vehicles for individual consumption. It's come up a lot. People ask for it. We're not doing that at this point. Where we're committed to EVs is at different levels. One is we do have EV charging across all of the garages, and there's a commitment to increase those to up to, I think the number is 328 by 2026. So baked into this Fast Forward plan that you've heard about today, if you haven't read it, I encourage you to take a look at it. It calls for an increase in electric vehicle infrastructure. It calls for the evolution of our bus fleet to EVs. So we'll be doing that. Also, that's in motion now. We'll have at least 4 on the road by 2025. So that's a supply chain challenge. And it's an evolution of our entire fleet. We have 145 vehicles that MIT owns. So we're in the midst of, we actually, an amazing student research project pulled together a whole model, and they took all of the 145 vehicles, they put them into, only MIT students can do this overnight, put them into, they collected all the mileage, the age, the insurance, you name it, put a whole model together to determine which ones need to be replaced quickly first, and then started to map those to the supply chain to figure out what models existed today that would map to what our needs are. So that will take the next couple of years to really understand that model, but we'll start with a truck and a van to test those, because then we have to think about retraining our mechanics down the line, right? So it's a whole systems dynamic approach to this. Wow. So again, we'll be evolving our fleet in time, our shuttles, and the infrastructure. And then we have to look at all of those as a system. The piece that would be interesting to partner with you on, for those of you who do have EV stations in your own, is the culture of EVs. I think we haven't all figured that out, right? You go to charge your vehicle. At the moment, there's a policy of you can stay there for 4 hours, but very few people have the time to leave a meeting or a classroom to go unplug their vehicle. So the next phase of this is to really think through, what is that new culture of EV charging? Does it, is it a privilege? Is it something you pay for? Do you sign up for it? So stay tuned, or if some of you have figured that out in your industry, please share it with us.
Hey, that's great. What a great thought to stop with, and a challenge to you guys. Keep in communications with Julie and share ideas. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
That was terrific. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, and thank you everybody for your energy and staying with us for the afternoon and the entire day. So we've come to the end of today's program. So a couple things. Tomorrow the sustainability workshops begin. There's a light breakfast at 8:30, and then the first round of workshops begin at 9, and then the second round at 11, with a networking break in between. So these are opportunities to engage further and also network with people. Also, we mentioned at the beginning of the day, build on the experience of today and tomorrow. So find ways to continue this dialogue with MIT and leverage the resources here, such as engaging with faculty and for further discussions, and startups as well, considering collaborating on research projects or pilot projects, or sharing data, or even, sharing things like ideas with researchers like Julie. Take an education class, through MIT professional education or continuing or executive education. There's a range of options there. And finally, just keep coming to our events and get as much content as you can and ideas and let them percolate and keep coming back. All right, so with that, we'll close for today, and we hope to see many of you tomorrow. Thank you.